A lot of the cooking I do is cooking from experience. It's not, that I'm sitting down and creating all these brand new recipes. It's just like, man, I know about how ribs should cook. So what if I change these flavors or do this a little different or hold them at the end or something like that? You're always going to, you're going to come up with ways to improve what you're doing.
Welcome to Malcom Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcom and Rochelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the 2025 first episode of the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcom Reed, joined by my lovely, talented, this good-looking thing sitting across from me. Man, all fixed
You're
up.
sucking up.
No, we've had a great break. How are you today, Chelle?
Good. That was my first question for you. How was your break?
Oh, man, it was fantastic. It flew by.
It did go super fast.
So when's the last Tyler's over here on the boards. Tyler, when's the last podcast we did? Was it right before Christmas?
What up, y'all? Yeah, it was
I looked at it.
I think it was like December 17th or something like that.
Okay.
Was when it went live.
So it's been a little over a month and 6 weeks anyway.
Yeah. So we started back filming yesterday.
We did. First recipe back. Well, really, we kind of started the week before because I did that duck video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll talk about that, aren't we?
Yes. I got that on my list to talk about.
But yeah, so it's, but this really kicked off the first one. It's still cold, but the Smokehouse is doing just fine. We got new lights in there. It looks good.
Yeah.
We didn't put a heater out there. I was thinking that might not have been a bad idea to have some kind of heat.
We need a heater up in this podcast room.
We can hang meat in here. For real.
My little heater I brought in here quit working.
I'm going to get me a heated seat. You think they make an office chair that's got heat?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
If you get one, I'll get one.
We'll let you get one, see how it is.
If anybody owns a heated seat company, let us know.
But we got a good game plan for the year.
We do. It's going to be great. 2025. I'm excited. We're going to, I just can't wait to get back to cooking some stuff, man. I've been in hunt mode. I hadn't been in cook mode, but I'm ready to get back to cook mode now that my freezers are stocked.
Yeah, I thought you didn't cook me nothing. You didn't.
I cooked
aside
some
from
stuff.
like Christmas.
What about that bologna?
I was going to talk about Yeah, but we're planning to do more lives where Malcom actually cooks on Fridays and Saturdays. And we're going to try to recreate some of the old recipes.
That's going to be
the Yellow
fun.
Kitchen days.
So like somebody, I forget who it was, telling me you need to make a set, like recreate the Yellow Kitchen set. So
I don't know how we'd find that paint.
Man, I don't either. I don't even know what you call that color.
At the time, I was like, this is nice.
It's like mustard stain yellow. It's like, how mustard gets on your clothes and it changes color. It's not as bright as the
yeah. It's
bottle.
After the stain. Oh, when I picked it up, I was like, this is going to look good.
Heck yeah.
I was going to ask you, so, we're going to try to go back and recreate some old videos, like take the recipe and do like an updated version of it.
What would I do now after?
Yeah, what would you do now?
10 years ago, what would I do different a decade later? Oh, there's probably a bunch of them I do different.
Do you think your cooking has changed over the years?
Absolutely. I think everybody evolves. The more it's one of those things, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So, you can always learn something. Like every time I still cook, I can figure out stuff that I should do different in a recipe. So I know, like, I'm bad about, once I do it, I don't go back and watch myself on film cook something.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff, it just gets added to the repertoire. Like, man, that was one, I cooked that one because we cook it all the time, but I do different stuff and change flavors. And it's what I'm thinking on those. It's like, I'm not trying to do the exact same thing I did. I'm trying to think that idea. So, for instance, like the lamb, that's one I probably screwed up years ago. Well, I know how to cook lamb now.
Yeah.
So I could take that and say, well, I did this, then what would I do different to make it better? Or at least to me, I think it would be better. So that was what I was thinking when y'all brought that idea up. I think it's a great idea to revisit some, because a lot of people use those old recipes still as kind of like a cookbook almost, like a guide to go back and watch. And that's the great thing about doing recipes on YouTube is it archives them. So it's like a video cookbook that it's easily searchable. You can go back and find these old recipes, and those recipes still get watched to this day. Even though, it was over 10 years ago when we put them out, people still watch them, and they're, getting stuff from them because I get comments and questions on them and all that. That's when I have to go back and watch them. Somebody asked me a question about, cooking short ribs on a drum in my backyard. And I was like, God, that had to be, a long time ago. So I'll have to go back and search and find exactly what video and see what I did. And then I'll look at it and I'll be like, man, that was horrible. What was I thinking?
And I think you've cooked on a lot more different style grills.
Yeah, because some of them were just homemade, like homemade drums that we made and did a lot of stuff on. And it was just, it's evolved over the time, you know? Had a lot of Yoder videos back in the day.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that I do feel like your cooking has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way y'all used to think about, you know, holding meat or wrapping meat or, you know, different things has changed. I've seen it, you know, just from my personal observation. Do you think all those years of doing 20, 25 barbecue contests a year improved your cooking?
Oh, yeah. I think the more you learn to cook over live fire, whether it's in a smoker or a grill or whatever you have, the better you're going to get because you're constantly learning how to manage the fire, how to manage the elements outside, you know, what different proteins are going to do in certain situations. So and all that, you don't realize it, but I think like subconsciously you're taking those notes in your brain, or at least I am, and kind of cataloging them and cooking from experience. A lot of the cooking I do is cooking from experience. It's not, you know, that I'm sitting down and creating all these brand new recipes. It's just like, man, I know about how ribs should cook. So what if I change these flavors or do this a little different or hold them at the end or something like that? You're always going to, you know, you're going to come up with ways to improve what you're doing.
And I do think the cooking contest every weekend, good enough is not going to work.
Good enough doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. You're constantly having to level up, you know, each week.
My problem is I'm not the perfectionist that a lot of these competition guys are. When I was doing competitions, I mean, of course you want to win and you want to do good, but mine was because it was fun. I like being there, like the experience. I mean, going through the cooking, that was going through the motions, and I would turn it over to Waylon and it's like, all right, man, we cooked this. Now make this, you know, let's win something with it now, because we know what we're doing cooking. But all the, you know, having to beat somebody and being competitive, that's just not me. I like cooking because it's fun and I like to eat.
You'd like to win, but it's just not the most important thing.
It's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody likes, you know, getting your name called, getting a check, getting a trophy. If you don't, something's wrong with you, but it's just not my drive to do it all the time, you know. So
are you ever going to cook that camel?
The camel that's in the freezer? Yeah.
No, you're not.
I'm just letting it get good and froze. I think you have to freeze camel for a long time before you cook it.
I think you're afraid to cook it. I think you're terrified.
Every time I walk by and look at it, there's that camel. I just can't imagine it being good. I can't imagine it being good.
Are you going to cook some of the bison meat?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a freezer full of bison. We cooked some bison tacos this week.
They were good.
Heck yeah, it was good.
Normally when you use like wild game for stuff like taco meat or, you know, something like that, you can tell the texture, or maybe you get that little gamey flavor. Not that it's bad, but it's just different. I didn't get any of that with the bison.
So, you know, I mean, I've bought bison at the supermarket before. I've cooked some from Mossy Oaks Gamekeeper Butchery that has bison ribeyes, and I think that's the only cut of bison they have. Well, we got some of those, and we were cooking them at Memphis and May. I mean, we won the exotic category at Memphis and May cooking bison. It's really, really good meat, and if it's cooked right, I don't know if you would know it wasn't beef if it was cooked right.
Yeah,
an average person.
I think if
it's a lot leaner.
Yeah, it was a lot leaner, but it didn't taste dry.
Not as far as hamburger. Oh, that was fresh though, because it's, you know,
okay.
I shot that joker. It wasn't no supermarket bison. That was one I went up to North Dakota. If y'all hadn't seen it, I guess we should set that up. Where'd I get the bison, Chelle?
If you would like to see Malcolm's hunt for the bison, you can go over to Buck Junkies. This week we dropped the video of the hunt.
Yeah, it's on YouTube on the Buck Junkies channel. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's at Buck Junkies Outdoors.
Okay.
It's the YouTube handle. So.
At Buck Junkies Outdoors. It's also on probably the Buck Junkie TikTok, or
it's a little bit everywhere.
A little bit everywhere.
And I don't think it's dropped yet. It's dropping next week, the processing of the bison.
Yeah.
That's if you're interested in processing meat, that was really
I would like to get I'd like to get that guy on the podcast.
The butcher that helped.
So he processed, like he's a mobile butcher, and one of the only ones in Mississippi. As far as I know, that's what they claim. What was it called? Redemption
Meats. Yep.
And what they do, say if you raise cow or you raise sheep or you raise hogs, they come out to your farm and they have a mobile butcher trailer. And what they do is they process that animal. Now, I know some of them, they actually come out, pick the process, do what they got to do to the animal to get it ready to hang, get some eggs on it. Yeah, they do all that.
Yeah.
And then they take it back to their facility where they've got storage, and they like to like a cow, you want it to hang a little bit. It's just meat's better. It's kind of like resting before you process it. Same kind of thing. I guess you kind of let rigor mortis go through, and those muscles start breaking down, and they're supposed to get more tender and relax. And after so many days, that's what the aging does to it. And it makes a tender, more flavorful cut of meat. That's why people dry age steaks and stuff like that. It's supposed to make it better.
So Mark, in one of the videos we did about processing, he said if you let it, and I thought this was really interesting. I don't know if this, I'm sure it is, but he said if you let that rigor mortis set in and go through the stages while it's still connected to like the bone, it won't shrink up.
Absolutely.
It won't, it'll keep this kind of shape.
I would like to hear that from somebody that does it day in and day out, kind of a pro at it.
Yeah, explain the process.
Because that makes sense to me. Like, say, when you cut something off the bone, you're cutting all the ligaments. The muscles has nothing pulling it anymore. It's not attached to anything. So just think of it as like a piece of rubber band. It goes back.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stretched out anymore. If it's stretched out, it's kind of making it tender. I guess it tenderizes it. So being connected to that bone keeps that muscle stretched. And as it goes through rigor and then lets go again and starts breaking down, it's those tough fibers are stretched out, and I guess it's making them more tender. I'm guessing. I want to know. I'm really curious about why it works. What's the reasoning behind it?
It makes sense to me.
Kind of makes sense when you think about it. So that's what they do. And these guys come out. We had 5 bison. And we didn't bring these animals back whole. They had to quarter them up. You got to imagine these things are huge. Like a hind quarter on one, it takes 2 grown men, to pick it up. And they're huge. They're huge. We did, I think, there was a group we went with. I shot one animal, and it was probably weighed well over 3,000 pounds on the hoof. By the time they quartered it up, did everything, we got it back in a trailer. I mean, I don't know what it weighed then, but I imagine it was still probably 2,000 pounds, at least. So that's a lot of meat by the time you get it cut up and processed.
And how many did y'all have? 4 or 5?
5. We had 5 total.
One of them didn't make the video cut.
Yeah, one of the hunt didn't make the video cut.
It was just bad editing.
Yeah.
Bad camera work.
Bad camera wouldn't turn on or something. But 4 of them did, and it looks really cool. And you could see me. Oh yeah, they picked the fattest guy on the trip to chase one the furthest. I mean, that one ran from me about 2 miles. It felt like across these. They called them hills. They were freaking mountains. And I'm going up and down, going under barbed wire fence, and, trucking through, and it's spitting snow and ice, and I sound as bad as the deadgum bison.
Yeah, you are breathing pretty hard.
Puffing and puffing. We finally got to, I think it was like 300 yards. The guy's like, "Can you shoot?" I said, "Heck yeah, I don't care if it's a mile. I can shoot the joker."
I thought it was funny because he said, "What do you shoot?" And you're like, "I feel comfortable at 200." And then after you did that track,
I got it.
He said 300. You're like, "Yep."
That was after walking. There's no telling what my heart rate was. I bet it was up over 150. I was just pumping, breathing. Got all these skinny guys around me. They're just like it ain't nothing. No. When Mark was with me, he was the camera on that. And he's like, "Man, I was struggling." I was like, "You were struggling? How do you think I was? I got a microphone taped to my chest, so you're hearing every breath of air. I'm sucking, I'm really surprised it was usable footage.
Is there an elevation there that's making it even worse, or is it kind of flat?
It felt like it was. I needed some oxygen. I'd have loved to have one of them bottles to suck on rigged up to it. No, that was an awesome experience. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I had so much fun.
So it was worth
even trekking. Yeah, it was worth walking them hills. I thought I'd pick me out an easy one to shoot. It was.
Y'all picked me out the lazy one.
Yeah, pick me out the lazy one. Because you got to ride around and look for these things on the big hills. And just a quick story. We were trying to. It was my turn, my day to hunt. It was my turn, and so we're riding around. We rode around a couple hours, and we'd seen the herd, but we didn't see any that were broke out because you can't shoot them when they're in the herd. It'll make the whole herd panic, and it's just you don't want to shoot them when they're all bunched up. You want to find a big bull off doing his own thing and try to maneuver yourself to him. So you ride around on these big hills and you try to get to the high ground and glass with binoculars and try to scope and find them and then figure out a way to get to him without spooking him because if they see you, they're going to leave. So he said, I know one more hill we can ride up on. We can probably find one. We get up on top of that hill, and that joker's standing on top of the hill in front of the truck. And we pull up there, and the guy goes, oh, man, he ain't supposed to be here. Oh, crap. Slams the truck in reverse, and we're backing down this hill fast. And I'm like, I'll shoot that one. 'Cause I knew where he was. It was right there, I can get out, prop up on the truck, That's easy. No, by the time we got out, I jumped out, grabbed my gun. They got the camera, and we got the shooting sticks. We start easing around the hill to kind of a little safe place to shoot from so he maybe wouldn't see us. That animal's gone. There was only two ways he could go. Down this big draw ravine that goes back to this beautiful creek in between these two ridges, or he could have went out over the hills, just kept on going. And the guy's like, I don't know, man. He was right here. 10 minutes ago, he was right here. And so he's like, he had to go down here. So we went down there and we're glassing, and finally you see him on the horizon. That joker's a mile. It looks like a mile away.
Did you say, can I pick a new one now?
No. The guy, the first thing he says is, we got to go after him. And I'm like, all right, let's go back to the truck. Let's go get him. Because that's what we did. And, other times we'd drive around some of them hills, cut the distance. He's like, we got to go straight at this one. He's trying to go. And he's like, come on. And I was like, holy crap, what are we doing? We just take off down this hill, up these hills, and down these hills. Underfit, and every time we're gaining on that animal, he's going 300 yards further from us. And there's a barbed wire fence there, and you don't understand how big these things are. 5-strand barbed wire fence, that's not, they just full speed, just step over it. I mean, he said they could jump a 7-foot fence. So a barbed wire fence is nothing to them. They go where pretty much they want to go. There's no high fence corralling them in. If they want to go through something, these animals go through it. So they're just out on these open prairies. But it's rolling plains is what they call it. And so
they were mountains.
They were mountains. They're bigger than anything I see in Mississippi. But we get close enough finally, and we cut some distance, and the animal finally slows down a little bit, and we get within 300 yards, and the guy's like, can you take this shot? And I'm like, absolutely.
And you did.
And I did. And then we walked to him, and we got him and all that, take a few pictures, and he's like, all right, let's go back to the truck. Because every other time the truck drove to you.
Yeah.
They brought a tractor out, and they brought a flatbed truck, and they hoisted these big jokers up and laid them on there, and it was a big party, take them back. No. I had to walk my big butt all the way back, go back under fences, and it was like, man, y'all trying to kill me. They just want me to lose weight. But I did it.
It's good for you. It's
great for me. But that's on video if y'all want to check it out. And the processing's coming out too, right, Tyler?
Next week,
and that was it's a really awesome, super in-depth video, but it was awesome to be a part of that. Because if you can imagine, I was out there processing this animal too. So,
so did you actually, were you just the cameraman, or were you actually helping the processing part?
I was helping a lot of the processing because
really?
We just hired a new guy. His name's Todd. We might have talked about him on the podcast. So he was doing a lot of the filming and stuff. I was kind of directing. And then I was kind of doing the grunt work butchering, I guess. It wasn't anything super in depth, but it was I was cutting up the meat for the grind, right? So, and the guys inside the mobile butcher were taking care of all the primal cuts and stuff.
Yeah, cutting out the roast and the steaks and all that.
But it was Mark just showed me real quick kind of what we were doing, and so I was out there.
Grab a knife.
Cutting.
Was that the first time you've processed something like that?
To that capacity, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I had never done anything to that capacity.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Like a deer, yeah. We broke down a hog before. You don't understand. When they pulled these animals up to skin them and everything you do, picked it up with a tractor. The guy's on an 8-foot ladder. Grown man, over 6 foot tall. He's up on top of the ladder, and the animal's still bigger than him hanging. That's how big these things are. They're massive. When they rolled out the guts and stomach of that, oh, God.
Okay.
You talk about that was rough.
Okay.
That was rough. Stomach was as big as me. I'm talking about windpipe, 4 or 5 inches. I mean, I've never seen a windpipe on an animal that big. It's crazy. It's just massive. Until you see one in person, you don't understand how big they are. And if you think you go up and take, you see these pictures of people at Yellowstone and places like that, getting out of their car and trying to take pictures. Oh, they are fools. There ain't no way. They could flip if they wanted to, they'd flip that car over.
I imagine they could trample you pretty quick.
Oh, easy. Yeah. Like a rag doll. You're nothing. We're nothing to them. It amazes me that Native Americans could ever take down those animals with sticks and strings and spears or whatever they used. But it was, that was kind of surreal seeing something like that and just putting it in perspective of what it would have been like to, imagine. Because there was millions of these animals. We had them in Mississippi at one point. They were all over North America and people killed them out, which is horrible. But luckily through conservation practices and management and places like that, they're protected now. So you still have to take a few of them out, preserve the herd.
And we got meat.
And we got meat to eat.
I'm excited about trying the ribeyes and there was even some flank steaks they were cutting.
Oh yeah, well, I've got shanks. I've got I got all kinds of cuts.
Oh, you have shanks?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm definitely doing some bison shank. It's got to be good, and that'd be a good long cook. Kind of braise it, smoke it. I'm thinking smoke it and then braise it.
Yeah, kind of like you do beef shanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exact same. I mean,
I love
you cook it. It cooks just like beef.
Is that HowToBBQ?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I mean. Sometimes. They do oxtails, which is just a cow's tail, but then they do shanks, and they're very similar to the way that end product. Just gelatinous, tender, melted in your mouth meat.
And then you serve it with gravy and mashed potatoes.
Yeah, it's good.
Speaking of mashed potatoes, last time when we left off, I was in the process of learning mashed potatoes because apparently I've been doing them wrong this whole time.
Yeah. Do you think you really have, though? Because your mashed potatoes are fire.
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I think so for Christmas, I was like, I'm going to try the new method where you let them steam out and then you add warm cream and butter and all that stuff. And I did that for our Christmas dinner and they didn't turn out really good.
I was going to say, they weren't. Yeah, that was a.
And then I realized, so we were watching Anthony Bourdain. You're a big Anthony Bourdain fan. What is it? No Reservations.
No Reservations. It's an old show.
Yeah, old show. But
nothing else on TV worth watching. We'll watch No Reservation replays.
But they had Joel Rubicon on there, and he's known for like the best mashed potatoes in the world. And it turns out I just didn't add enough cream and butter. So, because if you let them steam out, you remove all the water, and you have to add a lot more cream and butter.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. So I did try them again, and they were much, much better.
Yeah. I think the one thing that they're using in a restaurant setting that we're not using is that ricer.
I agree.
And all it is like a mesh. Think of like a wire mesh strainer that would have a contraption on it that you could mash stuff down through that strainer.
Like garlic press.
Yeah, kind of.
Potatoes or something. Yeah.
And I guess it just gets everything that you run through it the right consistency. Seems like it would be hard to clean.
I know, like I hate using a garlic press because they're so hard to clean.
Yeah, it's easier to just put your knife on it and smash it. I guess all this time I think I'm making mashed potatoes. I'm just making squished potatoes. That's what I always do to them. I mean, is that what y'all do, Tyler, at your house? I'll just get the tater masher and you just go in there, and then when they get the right consistency, you just start whooping them with a big spoon, and they're pretty good that way.
They are. Yeah. And we leave the steam in and let the steam melt butter and, add some cream or whatever. Sometimes sour cream, sometimes heavy cream or whatever. But
I have had, like, you go to a restaurant and they serve shanks over mashed potatoes with a really good au jus glaze or something, demi-glace or something like that. And they're velvety, silky potatoes.
That's what I'm trying to get.
And they're all smooth.
I really think it's
the closest thing that we make like those was a box mashed potato.
I love box mashed potatoes.
They're silky smooth. Potato flakes. Good. Like, you don't even really cook them. You boil water and you add them to this potato thing and stir them and take them off the heat, and then add butter and salt and pepper, and you've got an instant mashed potato.
How much potato do you think's in those flakes?
I mean, it's got to be something.
It's got to be. You think they dehydrate them?
Starch or something that I don't know.
I don't know what
it could be. It might be potato flavored starch or something. It might be corn. Heck, who knows?
I don't know, but they're delicious. When I'm sick or something, to me,
that was always my mama's secret for thickening stuff. Did your mom ever do that, or grandma? Like if they had a dish where they wanted it thicker, they would add a couple tablespoons of potato flakes out of the instant tater box, and it just. You can't tell it's potato, but it thickens it up, and it's the starch in it that does it. Kind of excellent.
Yeah, because it doesn't really impart a lot of flavor.
Zero. They don't. When you taste those, they don't have flavor.
Yeah.
Like instant potatoes don't have potato. They don't have much potato flavor to me. I taste the butter and the milk and the heavy cream and sour cream.
That's probably why I like them so much.
Yeah.
My mom uses them for potato soup. That's like a base.
That's a good. Yeah. So like you boil your potato soup and then add some of those at the end to thicken it,
and it makes it thicker and creamier.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. Man, we hadn't made potato soup in a while. That's a good one.
We don't make a lot of soups.
I'm more of a gumbo guy.
Yeah. So for New Year's Eve, we all did a seafood extravaganza. Is that what you would call it? A seafood?
It was extravagant as I could get. It was definitely a seafood smorgasbord extravaganza ending 2024.
So you did crab legs. What kind of crab legs?
King crab legs.
King crab legs.
I did lobster. I did oysters. I did shrimp 2 ways. Didn't we do shrimp 2 ways?
I just thought we had shrimp cocktail.
Was it shrimp cocktail?
Yeah.
I thought I did some other cooked shrimp too, but I can't remember. We had caviar. First time I ever had caviar at home. Man, it was good. We done figured out how to eat caviar.
So how did you cook the crab legs?
Oh, so first, since I got
it was a process.
Yeah, well, the hardest part of the king crab legs was getting them ready to cook because I wasn't going to make y'all fight those big spiny legs. I sat down at the cutting board with some knife and kitchen shears, and I canoed all of them. So basically, I removed half a portion of the shells, and then for the body meat, I kind of split it and opened it up to where the meat was right there.
So when you canoed them, you actually were exposing the meat?
Yeah, I took a knife and kind of cracked it, and first I jointed everything like you would eat them. And then for every joint of leg, I would take a kitchen shears and cut down one side and cut down the other side and remove it. So it's basically still in its shell, but top of it's gone. So when you lay it on the grill or however you're cooking them, the meat's just laying there exposed. It let me get way more flavor on it, and it let me get my butter and seasoning and all that on it. So every bite had a little bit of grill flavor and a lot of bit of richness from that butter and the garlic and the parsley and the
You really didn't even need to dip it.
No,
I mean,
it was
I
ready.
did.
Yeah, we did.
You were banging and knocking for a minute on that
stuff. Took a minute. That was the hardest thing to do. I mean, the lobsters and everything. I did the lobster in an air fryer. We saw something on a TikTok I wanted to try, and it was where you take blue plate mayonnaise. You can take any mayonnaise, but if you're going to use the mayonnaise, use the best.
And if you're choosing mayonnaise this weekend, make sure to choose the best, which is Blue Plate.
That's right.
Quality since
1927. It's a long time, almost 100 years of making quality mayonnaise.
You can use
Blue
Plate
so what
for
you
anything.
do, you take the lobster tails and you split them right down the back. And then you take your thumbs and you work that meat loose. And then you cut at the very back of the shell, like one section before it gets to the little tail fan, you cut a slit going across, and that lets you take that meat and work it back out and flip it back over the shell.
That's kind of how they serve on
That is how they
fancy
serve.
restaurants.
Yeah, when you see them serve like that, it looks like that lobster meat's all on top. That's all they're doing. They're pulling the meat out and letting the base of the lobster be a place for it. So then I took 2 slices of thin lemon and put underneath the meat right on top of the shell and laid that meat on top of the lemon. And then I took Blue Plate with a little brush and spread it all over the top of the lobster and then seasoned it with a little King Cross. Super simple. And then it went in the air fryer, and I think it took like 11 to 12 minutes. And you're cooking it till it gets to like 135, and it's going to be about 140. That's perfect temperature for it. Could have went
a little less.
You thought it could have went a little bit less?
Tough, yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying it's the best way I've ever cooked lobster. I would like to do that version on the grill. Because the mayonnaise, I mean, you don't even know it's mayonnaise. It kind of liquefies.
Yeah.
So it's just like a fat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got the lemon under there giving it flavor, and then you got your seasoning that stays on top. And man, it's crab legs and lobsters, two of the finer things on this earth in the water.
Yeah, I agree. You also did, it was a crab salad. What is it called?
Oh, I got that from Vandy at Mossy Oak. Yeah, West Indies salad.
West Indies.
Man, I ate on that, dude. West Indies crab salad is so good. I don't know why they call it West Indies salad. I think it started down in like Mobile, or it was on the coast where it started. There's a hotel or something that started it, but all it is lump crab meat, and then it's vinegar. It's an onion, vinegar, cold water, and then a little seasoning like salt and pepper. And usually I put just a pinch or two of sugar just to sweeten it up just a little bit. But it's about the marinade. You kind of layer all that stuff in the bowl and you add the liquids and you let it set. It's better overnight, but it needs 4 or 5 hours anyway in the fridge.
Yeah, we let ours go overnight.
Yeah, and it makes it, oh man, it's kind of like a pickled crab and onion.
Kind of.
If you like a minuet sauce, and I love that for oysters. I made that to go to dip shrimp and oysters in.
Yeah, I had that on my list to talk about.
But it's almost like a vinaigrette, and that crab meat gets in there, and the onion softens up those onions, and man, you put that on a little party cracker. It's a great appetizer.
I was eating that for a few days after.
Oh yeah, I made a bowl of it. I mean, I think I did a pound, like 2 8-ounce containers of lump crab meat. So this was not a cheap New Year's dinner. This was a splurge New Year's dinner with the king crab, the lobster, and the caviar.
As you do, you kept ratcheting it up.
You were thinking
the plan was we were having
much.
crab.
We had a few people over.
Yeah.
We wiped that seafood out.
The only thing left over was the crab salad. And I think it's because we just had a bunch of boys. And yeah.
But man, we picked on that stuff. I mean, we started this at like 5 o'clock on New Year's Eve, and you know, we stayed up. We made it to midnight.
Barely, but yeah.
But I don't even know if did I take a picture or anything?
I didn't.
Man,
so I just looked it up. West Indies salad.
Tell me about it.
Is a variation of a crab meat ceviche that was originated in Mobile, Alabama.
See, I was close to right. So it's basically like a crab ceviche. That's what it is. But I like calling it West Indies salad. That's what Vandy told me it was called.
So you said we had oysters.
Yeah, but that was not something that I picked out. That was the shell. I'm trying to look. I guess I could do this later.
Have y'all ever seen the oysters in a cup?
Yeah, absolutely, Joey.
Like Joey oysters.
Nope. They sell them. It's just a pre-shucked oyster. They come in a tub, and they're great for frying. Like if you're doing po' boys or just want to do fried oysters or something like that. But they're not my favorite to eat raw. I have, and it depends on where I'm at. Like we go down to Dolphin Island, man. There's this little seafood steamer. I forget what it's called, but it's right there on Dolphin Island, and you can go in there and get their oysters in a tub, and man, they're just as good as they come out of the shell. But I think you lose something in the transpo and getting them to a store or whatever.
They were fine. They didn't taste bad. They just don't have flavorless.
Yeah. For one, it's a Gulf oyster, and they don't have a ton, but it's all in that water they come out of. Like, I mean, I can go down there and get those murder points in Alabama, and man, you get them right out of the shell, and you get some brininess. It's just got so much flavor. But then you get some like these. I don't know. It's not even like eating anything. It's kind of like mucus plug. It was terrible. I didn't like them. I didn't like those at all.
You had to use like a lot of hot sauce, and I was even putting salt.
So how do you eat a good oyster? I don't need anything on it. I mean, maybe a dash of hot sauce and suck it right out of the shell. But
I like the variety because I'll pick up one and just suck it out of the shell. Then I'll do another one. I'll do the cracker, horseradish, hot sauce,
lemon.
Yeah, lemon, and then I'll do another one and just put a little hot sauce. And, I like to.
I like the minuet. It's like a vinegar.
So what's a minuet? Champagne
vinegar, shallot, and black pepper. That's all it is. Usually, I'll take a whole shallot and I'll dice it as fine as I can get it. I'm talking super fine. If you wanted to run it through a press, it'd probably even work too. But then I just start. Usually I use about 8 ounces, about a cup of champagne vinegar, and you just buy it in a glass bottle on the.
Yeah, every grocery store has it.
Yeah, that and shallot and black pepper, and sometimes I'll put a pinch of salt in it just to kind of round it out. I kind of taste it a little bit, but it's kind of champagne vinegar has a sweeter. It's not as acidic, I guess, as just say like white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. It's a really, really good mild vinegar flavor with a little sweetness, and it goes with the shallot and goes with the black pepper. And you let that sit for a couple hours in the fridge, and then for raw, seafood.
We use it for shrimp all the time, like all the time. Cocktail.
Yeah,
Michael loves it.
He eats it like crazy. Yeah,
it's good for really any type of seafood.
It is oysters and shrimp, especially. It's really, what's good? Dipping hush puppies in it. Fried hush puppies with minuet sauce. God,
never tried that.
Heck yeah, really good.
And we did.
It's good on catfish.
I could see that.
A lot of people use malt vinegar on fish. Mm-hmm. I like the champagne. It's got a little bit better flavor.
I feel like the hot sauce is kind of the same idea.
It is.
You're adding the vinegar element.
What is hot sauce on fish? It's a hot vinegar, cayenne vinaigrette.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I tried to
pretty much just water and hot, pepper mash, and salt. But
so we had gone to a fancy dinner right before Christmas and had caviar and creme fraiche.
That's why I took you to your.
You did
fancy dinner. Where'd we go? You remember what it's called?
Chez.
You're there. You got it.
Philippe.
That's it.
And anyway, they gave us like a little tasting of caviar and creme fraiche, and so we when we were doing all this seafood, I was like, I want some more of that caviar. And I tried to make my own creme fraiche. It didn't work out.
It wasn't creme and it wasn't Fraiche. I don't know what you call them.
I think it needed more time because creme fraiche is supposed to be really easy. You just take heavy cream, add lemon juice, and essentially let it sour.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And you're supposed to leave it out on the, put it in a jar, mix it up, leave it out, and let it sit for at least 12 hours. And I only let it sit for 12 hours, and it just tasted like.
Didn't have much flavor.
Yeah, it just tasted like.
Wasn't thick.
Yeah.
I like it to be more like sour cream.
Mm-hmm.
I think and that's kind of what I think of creme fraiche. I think of like a light sour cream. It's not as, it doesn't have that sourness as much.
Yeah.
But
I think it was just so cold in there, it didn't.
Kettle chip, creme fraiche, a little bit of caviar. Man, that's some Robin Leach stuff right there. Man. Lifestyles of the rich. It was good. Them people are onto something.
Was that the first time you've tried caviar?
Heck, like that. I've had it like on a seafood tower, like you did in New Orleans, and they'll put some of it on oysters and stuff like that. And I don't even know if the stuff they put on sushi, it's not the same level of caviar that we got. And that wasn't fancy caviar. It came from Whole Foods. I mean, it wasn't like high dollar or nothing like that.
I mean, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah, I mean,
it was $80 for that.
We got it on sale. They had
we
had like 60% off.
Yeah, we bought our caviar off the clearance.
You only get a couple of ounces, but we bought clearance caviar. But it's good.
It was good.
I would do that again.
And you got Valentine's Day coming up.
The perfect time.
I think that our New Year's menu would work really well.
Yeah.
For Valentine's Day. You probably want to pare it down a little.
Scale it down a little bit. What would be your ideal Valentine's dinner? Like if
I hate going out to dinner for Valentine's because it's crowded and you got to wait. And even if you have a reservation, it's like the service isn't quite.
We got holiday rules apply on that. We go out on the 13th.
Yeah.
That's when you go to Valentine's dinner. Because everybody's saving it for the 14th. Same thing for New Year's Eve dinner. Like we used to go out for New Year's Eve dinner. And we figured if you go the day before New Year's,
nobody's there.
They're all waiting on that next party day. So you got to stay ahead of the crowd.
But
what would yours be? Your ideal?
You've done it before. I like a steak. You've cooked ribeye and done shrimp cocktail.
Kind of a surf and turf.
And I forgot. I think you did asparagus and
baked potato. With
something.
With all the trimmings.
Yeah.
Fresh rolls. Room temp butter, creamed, and then put back in the little thing, put a little design in it.
And lots of wine.
Little melon balls of butter for your potato.
Have y'all seen these little Land O'Lakes melon balls?
Yeah, we bought them.
They're awesome.
It's great. I love it.
Man, you put those out. The coolest thing Chelle bought was a Land O'Lakes turkey. We took it to my mom and dad's for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Was it Thanksgiving?
It wasn't Land O'Lakes.
What brand was it?
I have no idea.
It was a perfectly molded butter turkey. Like you stood it up and it stood there, and you let it get room temp, and you wanted some of his beak, you could just smooth off some of his beak and put it in your roll. I was like, I want me a turkey mold.
I was looking for like a Christmas tree for Christmas, or something, a Santa Claus.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I just like they have them for like compound butter flavors and stuff like that. It just makes it really easy.
Yeah.
Those the little pouch. It's like a reclosable pouch for the little butter balls you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep them in the refrigerator, they don't stick together bad. And that's kind of what I did. I just took the little melon scooper and
you've done that before.
Yeah, and put them on parchment paper and stick it back in the freezer. It gets it back hard. Then you can put them up.
You've done that with sour cream too. You scoop the sour cream with a melon baller and kind of froze it or lightly froze it.
So you get best of both worlds. I even made you remember my tater butter I made? It was like a compound butter with sour cream and bacon and chives and cheese. It's all in one. You mix it all up. Everything you're going to put in the loaded baked potato, and you get it back really cold. And that way, when you serve it, you can just take a big ice cream scoop of that stuff and put in the potato, and it gets it back warm, and the heat of the potato melts it all, and it's really good.
Genius.
Yeah, that was really good. I do think like shrimp and lobster or something like that's really good for Valentine's Day. Steak, obviously, but some people don't like steak.
The mood. The seafood does.
Pasta.
You're too full after pasta.
What about the ribeye?
Yeah. That's right.
All this
I'm gonna
stuff
eat the
you just
seafood.
named.
I'm gonna eat seafood. If I eat the ribeye, I'm gonna take a rain check.
All this bread and butter. Right. The bread and butter's the key.
The key.
I think now's a good time for us to pay some bills.
All right. The How to Barbecue Right podcast is brought to you by our friends at Primo Grills. Chelle, did you know that Primo is the only ceramic grill made right here in the good old USA?
What? Are you telling me that Primo Grills are proudly crafted here in the USA, ensuring top-notch quality and support for local craftsmanship?
I sure am. Plus, Primo Grill not only delivers mouth-watering flavor, but because of their innovative oval design and superior ceramic construction, Primo Grills also gives you a ton of cooking versatility.
Whether you're smoking low and slow or searing a steak to perfection, Primo Grills gives you the consistent heat distribution for mouth-watering results every time.
What she said, y'all. Y'all visit primogrill.com and check them out.
You also had a chef come in from Canada and do some...
my buddy Michael Hunter. He has a restaurant called Antler in Toronto. And I met him doing some hunting and doing some other events. And he's like, man, he wanted to come back down. He loves coming to Mississippi and hunting. And he is not a trophy hunter. He's a meat hunter. So me and him get down on that level. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. He'll shoot a big deer if he sees one, but he's more interested in taking that animal and using every bit of it. And this was a crazy thing. So he came down and stayed with us and we did some cooking and stuff. We're going to talk about that, but he shot a couple doe. And he's like, I'm taking this meat back. I said, you flew. How are you going to get this meat back to Canada? He said, I'll do it all the time. He put it in garbage bags. We wrapped it up. I don't know if we vacuum sealed it or not, but we wrapped it up in garbage bags and put it in a suitcase. He took it, froze it overnight. Well, the day he left, he took that meat and he got it back to Canada. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said nothing, but he did.
Was it a check bag or a carry-on?
Carry-on. He said he wasn't checking nothing.
Can
you
I
imagine?
would be sweating bullets.
I would think they think I had body parts or something. It's like, what is this? They run you through the scanner and you got stuff wrapped up and you got trophies wrapped up in your luggage.
Talk about
looks like an arm or a leg bone or something. Like, God, talk about getting patted down. They're gonna have you in the back room. You're going to get the full cavity search and everything.
That's what I'd be.
We've got this psychopath here flying with parts.
Let's call the FBI.
Yeah.
I mean, we've flown before. Like we were doing a barbecue class, and we've flown with seasonings and knives and stuff like that.
They gave us the rundown on
Yeah.
flying. That'd be my luck, man. I'd be pulled smooth out of the line. I'd be so nervous.
So he made a duck platter. Was it a duck platter?
So he did. It was really cool. It was a charcuterie board that he does at his restaurant. And, man, it was foie gras, duck foie gras, duck pate, and then a smoked duck breast. And then he served them with, he had grainy mustard and he had some kind of fig jam or something, so you get some different elements. But man, I never had anything like that.
Have you ever had pate before?
No. And it was, oh man, what's the best way? Best way to describe it would be
beef butter.
Yeah, if you think of bone marrow, but not hot, like it was molded. And so you kind of got a little smear of it and you put it on a cracker and you put some of that little jam or stuff and it would just melt in your mouth and it was rich, creamy, just delicious. It was unbelievable. And there was two different, like the foie gras. I don't know how he did it. It's
What's
in
the
his
difference
cookbook.
between foie gras and pate? Do you know?
So, yeah, foie gras is nothing but like goose, fatty duck liver. I guess he said, I think some people say it's pretty inhumane, but they make these ducks eat so much or these geese eat so much that their livers get really, really fatty. And that's what they make it out of.
So like veal or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how they make it. I mean, it's in his cookbook. He brought me and signed his cookbook for me. That's just really
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah. But, so he's got a cookbook. I need to look it up and see what the name of it is. I'm sure it's on Amazon, but it's, Michael Hunter, the Hunter Chef, maybe the name of the book.
It's the Hunter Chef.
Yeah. The Hunter Chef, but he's got all these recipes, even the smoked duck breast. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was like, I would compare it more to like a pastrami or something like that, the way it was smoked.
So it was
sliced.
kind of cured?
Yeah, it was cured smoked duck breast.
Okay.
So this was all charcuterie. meant to be eat like, appetizer on a board or something like that. And there's a picture of it in his book. I don't know if you could pull it up, but you could see it.
While both pate and foie gras are spreadable liver-based preparations, pate is a broader term, and foie gras is the fattened liver.
Okay. Well, he said that I could make, he said making the pate wouldn't be a problem at all. I could just go buy store-bought liver. It could be chicken. You could make a chicken liver pate. You could make a, whatever. He said really easy to do.
I tried the pate. The pate was.
I brought some back for you specifically, but see, it wasn't like sliceable. It was more the way he served it. You put it like
butter.
Yeah, it's like a meat butter kind of. It's like a spread. It looks like a cream cheese spread or something. But he put it in a little ramekin and then topped it real heavily with coarse like ground black pepper all over the top, and you just kind of got your little spoon of it out and put it on a cracker or something. But he was taking, like he said, try this bite. So it'd be a slice of the foie gras with some of that on top of it, and then some of the drizzle of the spicy pepper jelly stuff. And then you ate that, and it was just.
You mean a slice of the duck breast?
No. So a slice of duck breast, because you slice the foie gras was kind of sliceable too. It was like, it wasn't like a dip. The other was kind of like a dip or spread. The foie gras had more structure to it, more texture. So it was like you could bite it. And so it would be a slice of that on there. And he said a lot of times I think they took that foie gras and he said they'll even top it over like a filet. Like you get a hot filet and you top it with a slice of that. So think of putting like a compound butter on it. And he said then they would torch it and it would just kind of melt it out and caramelize it over the top. And he said, that's pandemonium. So I was like, sign me up. Got to go to Toronto.
You're getting fancy as heck.
I'm not either, though.
Caviar, pate.
I'm still eating viney sausages out of a can. Hot and spicy.
Only the hot and spicy, right?
I know. I mean, I can eat the other ones in the summertime, but when it's cold in the winter and they get the little thick jelly, I can't get down with that.
No, the duck pate was excellent.
It was really good. This was all wild game, what we were eating.
I took a bite of it and I was like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple more bites and I was like, I better stop eating this.
So he also did,
rich.
And I hope we got a video on that because we recorded some of this stuff. But he also did a rack of, so it was like backstrap on the bone. So you think of a rack of lamb, this is a rack o' deer or venison rack, venison rack. He brought a seasoning that he made. He called it ash seasoning because I guess they toast it. And he said it kind of looks like ashes when he gets through with it. But he takes all these spices and toasts them and then grinds them. And that's what he uses. So he salts and peppers the piece of the backstrap. And then he rolls it in that ash seasoning and then sears it really hot and fast in like cast iron. We had a fire pit going, so he just put the cast iron skillet on the fire pit and put some oil in it and seared it, kind of lock in the juices on the outside, and then threw it on the pellet grill until it got up to like 125 and sliced it, and wow.
Have you ever tried that with a backstrap, one of the backstraps you cook? Where you
I've smoked them. I've never done a bone-in one. That's what I want to do. I want to figure out I need a butcher to show me how to do it. Because I want to cut that rack out, French those bones, and have a 8-10 bone rack of backstrap, and I think that'd be awesome.
It kind of looks like a rack of lamb. To me.
I mean, because the times I've done bacon wrap backstrap where I put it on the smoker, and a lot of times we cut them up into steaks or use them that way. I've never done it to where I seared it in cast iron or anything like that, and then put it on the smoker. That's all it is. That's not a reverse sear. That would be a reverse sear. It'd be a sear and bring up. It'd be a sear and bring up.
When you do a reverse sear. I will say the Buck Junkies hospitality is on a whole new level.
A whole nother level. I mean, we got the Smokehouse.
Yeah.
We've got a place to entertain. So when you come down there, it's like no holds barred. We're finna throw down. The hunting may not be that great. I mean, we're going to shoot some stuff. They're probably going to be does. But I'm a doe killer.
Or possums.
Coons, possums, does, coyotes, armadillo. We're hard on armadillos. I see an armadillo, I'm chasing it down. They dig too many holes, and I twist my ankle in them all the time. So I'm hard on the dillas. Number one dilla killer right here.
So moving from how you've become so fancy, you cooked a Chub bologna last weekend.
As good as that foie gras and pate was, it can't hold a candle to Chub bologna smoked and glazed.
I took a bite of that bologna. I was like, God, this is some good
bologna's kind of like pate in tubular form.
Kind of is.
Bologna pate. Now, there's a recipe.
What do you do?
That's pretty much potted meat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is potted, kind of. I would say so. It's in the same, they're cousins.
Family. Yeah, they're definitely cousins. They're definitely cousins.
So how'd you do that?
I take a Chub of bologna. I think it was 5 pounds. Mark found it on sale at $3. He's like, man, this bologna was only $3. The guy that was getting 2 or 3 of them, and I saw it, so I had to get one. So he brought it to camp. And it had been sitting in there about a week. And I said, well, we're cooking some wings. I said, I'm going to cook some bologna. And so I take it, I peel the red skin off of the bologna, the rind or whatever. So you've got this tube Chub, what they call it, of bologna.
It's just unsliced bologna.
Yeah, unsliced bologna. And then I take my knife and just make kind of like stripes all the way down it, cuts all the way down it, spacing them out about 1/2 inch or so. And then come back the opposite direction and do the same thing. Just spread them out.
Like
I'm not cutting deep. Yeah, but you can do it in diamonds. I did it in squares. But if you, and it's really easy to do, is you roll it and you just keep your knife in one place and roll that Chub. And you're not going too deep. You're only going 1/2 inch or so deep. It's not like you're cutting way down in it. And all that's doing is creating kind of nooks and crannies for smoke to get down in, for your seasoning to get down in, and for your glaze to get down in. And so, because, it's going to taste like bologna down the middle. Smoke doesn't permeate it all the way down there. But when you cut it like that, you are getting a little more grill flavor, a little more smoke flavor. Then you throw it on a pit at 250 and forget about it. Usually takes about 2.5, 3 hours. The last 30 minutes, brush it. And I went and got a deer stand. I think you went out there and glazed it for me.
I did.
And you just said mix whatever 2 sauces we got open, combine them, and brush it all over the outside and let it go 30 minutes. So when I got back from hunting, you'd already taken it off the pit. And it was beautiful. I mean, it blossoms out. It looks really good. And then you just slice it up and eat it. You can make sandwiches. It's good by itself. You can throw it back on the flat top and sauce it some more. If you want to char it up, you can throw it in an iron skillet. It's good all kinds of ways. My personal favorite is on a bun with some slaw. And it's just
you like
smoked
a thick
bologna
cut.
double thick cut. Nice, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch slice, but pretty dang thick.
That's a lot of bologna. And then coleslaw. What about blue plate? You put a smear of blue plate on the bottom?
Yeah, on the bottom. That's it. If I get real fancy, I might throw some pickle slices on there.
Ooh, there you talking.
Pickle, bologna, slaw, top bun, hard to beat. Bad thing scared me is Michael ate about that whole chunk. Because we ate chicken wings, and I'd went hunting, and we killed another deer, so we had to clean it. By the time I got in there at 8, y'all had already ate. And there was a whole thing of bologna. And I got up the next morning, and there was 1 slice left.
There was a cut.
And I was like, holy smokes.
Some people
took some. Kill him. You can't eat 5 pounds of bologna. It's like,
he paid for it. Don't worry.
Yeah, he had to miss school that next month. Started 3 days later. It's like, I told you. I said, just wait. You're gonna learn. He might not ever eat bologna again after that. It was so good. I don't know. I know some people took some home.
Some people took some home, but he did eat a lot of.
I tasted a bite. I was like, man, I knew what I was having the next day. I was having me bologna sandwich. There wasn't even none for that. It's like, God, I got to cook another one now. It might have been because it was $3 bologna. That's what
it had aged.
I didn't tell him that the whole thing only cost $2.99.
I don't think he'd have cared.
I didn't look at the date on it when he said $2.99. I said, sign me up. I'll cook that. But yeah, that was some dang good bologna.
So before I let you go, I got a couple quick questions for you from the community.
Oh yeah,
our Let's Get to Cooking community. Yeah. And I think this is a really good one. So I wanted to make sure we got it asked this episode. So James built a drum smoker over Christmas. He's been hearing about you talk about how good the flavor is on drum smoker. So he built him one over Christmas, and he loves it, but he's mainly done short and hot cooks. And this first low and slow was some ribs. The ribs had great flavor, but the bottom half were pretty overcooked and super dry, almost to the point of crispy.
I got you, James. Here's what you do. You cover half of whatever your fire basket is with aluminum foil. So
the actual basket.
The actual top of the basket. So put your coals in it, however you want to put them. You can fill it up, but only light one spot. the open spot, and then you got one spot that's covered with aluminum foil.
So you're almost making indirect.
Yeah, you're making an indirect zone. And so what I do is I light the one area of my fire basket, and it's got exposed over the top. Half of it's covered up. That way, if I put meat over it, there's aluminum foil over that side. It's never going to get too hot. And every, I would say 15, 20 minutes, I'm spinning my rack where the ribs are laying on. So they're all spending equal time in a zone where there's no direct flames underneath them. And that really, really, especially in a rib cook, really helps you out there. They don't get too dark, and they don't, because I've seen that happen. And that's the big thing about drums. You don't realize that's a lot of heat coming up, and you're pretty daggum close to it. So you have to take that into account. And it's harder to check a drum down to real low and slow cooking. They like to cook at 275, so you are a lot hotter. You have to realize that. Now, what I've also seen, and in the drum build I did, I put lower studs in the wall to hold another grate. So it gave me two options for cooking. But really what it did was when I put my other grate down on that lower level, I can take a pizza pan, like a perforated pizza pan or any kind of thing like that. You
would get them
cover it in full.
At like the dollar store.
Yeah, cover it in full and set it on that rack. So it's a diverter. It'll slow your heat down a little bit, and it deflects that intense heat off the bottom of whatever you got up there. So you got two options there that'll really help you out. But you'll learn it as you're cooking on it, what it takes and what it's doing. How often you need to rotate or move.
Do you flip them?
I used to.
Yeah.
Before I learned that I could cover that with foil, I didn't come up with that. I mean, those Gateway guys were doing it. That's where all that came from. They were figuring out they know how to cook on those things way better than I do. So that was just something I got from them. And I was like, man, that makes sense. So when I started doing it, my ribs turned out 100 times better because I wasn't scorching that bottom of them because they were always staying bone side down, and it would just get the bottoms over crispy. I didn't care so much because it's the bottom, because there's not much.
Yeah,
but you still want them to look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't turn it over and it's all black.
But I don't want to go to bite it and
it'd be charred.
Tastes
That's
like
right.
ash.
Well, what happens is when you do put something sweet on that bottom, it's going to burn down there, and that's what you don't want to happen. And flipping them back and forth, giving them equal time on top side as bottom side, that works too. It kind of evens it out. But I've really noticed it when I didn't have something, in between the meat and the fire right there.
So it's all about making your own little diverter.
That's it. Yep.
Kind of.
Even with butts, I got to where I'd cook on a drum. I'd usually halftime have that firebox because I never needed the full thing rolling. It's not like you need a whole big fire in a drum. It doesn't take much at all. So you can lower the amount of coals that you get hot in there. You can also put some foil down there to shield it, and that's the easiest way. The fire's still going to burn up under that full. You're just not going to have flames coming out the top of it. The heat's going to be directed out back to the side. So it slows your fire down a lot.
Okay, this is a really important question. Kerrygold or Land O'Lakes?
Ooh. For Kerrygold. I don't know. You're different because, are we just eating butter? Because we did this. We put out 3 or 4 different butters and seen which one tastes better on a cracker.
It was a bunch of it. It wasn't just me and Malcom.
It wasn't just us having a butter off.
It was about, we were doing steak.
It got real freaky that night.
No. I got to go Land O'Lakes.
See, and I was going to say, but regular Land O'Lakes, no. You're talking about the tub with the olive oil sea salt or whatever.
It's sea salt and olive oil.
That one's pretty tasty. And if you're eating butter on a cracker or butter on bread, yeah. But if I'm using butter in a recipe, I'm probably going Kerrygold.
Kerrygold.
Yeah. And depending on what it is, I'll go salted or unsalted. But like for ribs, this last rib recipe, I put Kerrygold salted in the rib wrap, and it's my favorite butter now to use in a rib wrap.
Do you think it's just the richness?
I think it is. Man, it's like, I got this from Mark. He's like, man, you smell that? So you smell those ribs? I was like, what is it? He said, that's that Kerrygold browning. And we got to learn it. When you smell that, and it almost smelled like your mama's fixing to bake cookies or something. It was like, those ribs are probably close to done. And that was kind of a telltale sign, and we don't share that too often. I think Mark said it before. But when you can smell that Kerrygold browning through the wrap, like in your pit, you smell it outside the pit. It's in the smoke. It's like, holy crap, that smells good. So we started doing that, and it's fantastic.
Tyler, do you have a vote?
I mean, I'm probably going Land O'Lakes just in terms of like what I'm buying at the store, like you said, for like baked potatoes, bread, that kind of thing. But I do agree with like cooking with Kerrygold, because even when I make like Alfredo and stuff like that, Kerrygold is the way to go with that. It just makes it so much richer, so much of a bolder flavor.
Yeah,
so
that's good. I love Kerrygold.
I mean,
Beluga is good too, though.
Beluga, yeah. I'm not turning down Kerrygold.
Yeah, but you're talking about when you're just eating butter on a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the
Land O'Lakes. Land O'Lakes has some other good ones too. They've got a compound one that I like. It's like what do they call it?
It's like an herb.
Something in herbs or something, shallot and herb butter or something like that. Man, it's good on steak. Like you can take that and whip in some. Here's what I do. I'll put that out at room temp and then let it start softening. And I'll take my steak rub and add to that, because it gives it a coarseness of the seasonings, the salts and the peppers and the herbs. When you mix it in, you can just put that on top of steak right on the grill. And it just melts off, and man, it starts dripping down and makes it flame up, and it tastes awesome.
Well, another thing you do is you'll put a scoop of that kind of butter, whatever butter you have, underneath, like put it on your plate, and then when you pull your steak out off the grill, put it right on top of that butter.
Dude, that's my trick right there. You never need it. Makes its own steak sauce.
It does.
You get all those drippings out of that steak wanting to come out on your plate. You know that's the good stuff.
And it doesn't mess up your top.
It doesn't mess up the top, so you still get a beautiful look. And then when you cut into that steak, every bite can drag it through there. It's phenomenal. Really is good.
It's a really good idea. Okay, so we'll wrap it up. That's all the time I have for you today.
All right. Hey, I'm glad to be back. I'm fired up, Jack.
We'll be back next week to talk ribs and Super Bowl.
And then we're going to Mexico.
And then we'll be in Mexico. And then we're not going to miss a podcast. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, we're not going to miss one that week? We're gone? Okay, good.
And if you do, it'll just be me. So come have Tyler Talks, HowToBBQRight Podcast.
It might be good you just like give your experience working here or working for us, dealing with us.
Might turn
give
to
a couple
stories.
Session.
We don't want to know therapy.
No, man, that was it's good to be back. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope everybody had a great holiday season, and let's get after 2025.
Yeah.
Tyler, tell them about the community.
Yeah, man, we're gearing up for our very first contest. I think we have a year full of contests already kind of planned. And if we have some more drop, we have some people reach out that want to give away some stuff, we can do more than that. So if y'all aren't already, head on over to facebook.com/group/H2Q community and join over the holiday season, there was tons of people sharing recipes, asking questions, and like, it's not really just us that hops in there anymore. There's like tons of people that are more than equipped to handle and tell you their, specific scenarios and really get like a very specific answer for lots of cooking questions. So
yeah, and we hope to give away even more cool stuff this year. What did we give away last year? We gave away 3 grills or 2 grills?
We gave away 2 grills last year.
2 grills, some ThermoWorks stuff. Yeah. Some ThermoWorks stuff.
A lot of Killer Hogs.
A lot of Killer Hogs, and HowToBBQRight stuff. So
this year I'm trying to like diversify a little bit. Like I want to give away some grills and stuff, but other cooking equipment too would be really, really cool. Yeah. So that's kind of my goal for this year.
Find me a pizza oven contact, Tyler.
There we go.
I need one of them Gonzis or whatever it's called. Oh, about fell over there. Got to thinking about pizza, bumped my damn chair.
Well, if you'd like to connect with me, it's Miss Southern Chelle on Instagram and TikTok. If you'd like to connect with Malcom, it's HowToBBQRight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and of course, YouTube.
Yeah, y'all go check out that Bison video over on Buck Junkies. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and next week the processing will be out. So.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate y'all tuning in today. We will be back next week for episode 2 of 2025. Season 8, episode 2. Holy smokes, that's a lot.
We've been doing this for 8 years.
That's a long time, baby. Can't believe you put up with me that long.
You're telling me.
Well, anyway, thank y'all, and we gone.